Good morning, Zio here, and today we talk about an old friend, one who every time I talk about and open my mouth about, tends to get somebody upset and they hate me for it because, I don't know, I'm sorry, Stadia just doesn't work so well anyway. Nah, but seriously, I get it, I understand. Some people, it might be a good thing for you, others it's just not so much. I think for the large majority of people that they were expecting to jump on the bandwagon, it's not exactly our thing. Something like GeForce Now is more my thing. However, we see how the industry decided they were going to collectively destroy that one before it got out the gate, or right as it got out the gate and was being useful. Freaking her anyway. Yeah, I'm just a little bit ticked off about that. And then you've got the other one from xCloud. Yeah, xCloud, and that does a pretty decent job as well. However, we are talking about Google Stadia. And to be honest, I've been meaning to do this one, and this is the one that I keep occasionally referencing whenever I talk about something. It's like, gosh, there's this one thing that I want to talk about Stadia, but never get around to doing it. This is that video. This is the video that I've been wanting to talk about, where Stadia straight up lied. I'm sorry. Look, Stadia fanboys, put the pitchforks down. They lied to you. It's Google. They lied. And I'm sorry if they couldn't offer incentives to people either, which also we may talk favorably about Stadia here in a bit too. Maybe not today, because it would seem that Google has finally wrapped its head around the idea that if you're going to have a gaming platform all about streaming video games, they need to do something, and that they're Google, with lots and lots of money from Alphabet and stuff, that they can literally throw money out there and make this stuff happen. They're finally getting that message, and it looks like they're starting to do that. So we may cover that later this week or next week. I'm not sure when I'm going to get around to it, because there's a lot of other things to cover as well in between, but we will talk about it at some point. But right now, Google Stadia is a lie. I'm sorry, it's the 4K of Google Stadia is a lie. Let's get into it. But yeah, everywhere from the beginning, they have been pushing out 4K 60 FPS. 4K 60 FPS. That's been on all their marketing platform, or all their marketing stuff. Any commercial you saw, anything like that, 4K 60 FPS. And so far, they haven't had not one game that is capable of true 4K. Anything and everything they have available is, of course, upscales to 4K, which is not what they're advertising. They're advertising 4K. Oh, okay. I take it back. That's how they got around it. They're advertising 4K, but they didn't specify true 4K, except for during this announcement, of course, right here when they were talking about Doom Eternal, which has been their flagship, their big thing. When Doom Eternal comes out, it will be the first true 4K game on Stadia that will stream to you at 4K. Unfortunately, id Software has kind of shown us that maybe when Google was throwing the developers under the bus, which, I kind of was on the fence with, like, well, maybe that might be the actual case. It would seem that that is not the case, because id tried and id failed, because apparently Stadia just cannot handle true 4K. But Doom Eternal is not true 4K on Google Stadia. Developer id Software has confirmed, which is a shame. I still need to play that. Anyway, rather, the blistering first-person shooter runs at 1080p at 60 frames per second on HD displays and upscales to 2160p from 18p at 60 frames per second on 4K displays. That's right. It upscales. It's not true 4K. Google uses of the game to demo the tech to press, or to teach. Google's use of the game to demo the tech to press. Okay. Wow, I feel like that was supposed to be worded differently. Anyway, and the fact id promised the game would run in true 4K a year ago, but it doesn't. You would expect it to, but it doesn't. Yeah, so here is the thing. There's no sound, of course, but where he is talking about how it will run true 4K at 60 frames per second. This is going to be a thing that they are going to do in their hour-long announcement for this thing when they were talking about it. And yeah, it's just not gonna happen. It can't do it. But yeah, Doom Eternal, I so need to play you so bad right now. Anyway, if you're going to provide the world that you can stream games from the cloud, what better proof than Doom, he said. And if you're going to provide to a developer that you're serious about building a robust platform, what better team than id? Yeah, I mean, seriously. Bethesda, on the other hand, we're not going to talk about Bethesda, but id's on point, not going to lie. Id's been on point for a bit. Yeah, Bethesda, not so much. Yeah, anyway. Where we push every platforms to its limits, which they did. They tried to push Stadia to its limits. We couldn't be happier to be bringing Doom Eternal to Stadia, and are thrilled to announce that the game will be capable of running at true 4K resolution with HDR color at an unrelenting 60 frames per second. Yeah. As you'd expect, this is degrees of disappointment from Stadia owners. To the news redditor EDPZ said, on one hand, 18p upscaled to 4K is at least better than 1440 or 1080 upscaled to 4K. That's true. I mean, I'm not gonna knock that. That's a true statement. You get into the territory where less people are likely to notice, and it still maintains 60 frames per second. And of course, you know, again, when it comes to the 4K, I don't really get it. I don't know. Graphics have never been like the biggest part for me when it comes to gaming. I love them. You know, when it looks nice, when it looks crisp and it looks great, I love it. But graphics for me is not the be all end all. So, you know, to be totally honest, 4K is not a big deal to me. Yeah, but to others, it is a huge deal, and it should be taken seriously. Anyway, just like anything else when it comes to gaming, everything should be taken seriously, of course. You know, bring me back cheat codes. Bring me cheat codes. Anyway, and a good playable game. That would be nice. A non-broken game out the box or off the download. That would be fantastic. Anyway, which ties Stadia with the Xbone X and the second best place to play the game in terms of performance. On the other hand, id Software was the dev Google had been hyping up as working on Stadia for almost 5 years now. And they've been very enthusiastic towards the performance, so if even they can't hit 4K 60, I think people can no longer keep saying the inability to hit 4K 60 is the result of the devs and not the hardware. Yeah, that's exactly where I would have gone into that. In fact, I probably have said that at some point. But yeah, when it comes down to it, when id is incapable of actually hitting that 4K 60 mark, it's probably not possible with whatever it is that they've got running Google Stadia, which is sad. They should be able to handle it. Gosh, could GeForce Now handle that? I don't know. I don't think it. I need to go re-look back into that and see how they've got their thing set up, because I honestly can't remember at the moment, but I'm sure I knew it. Anyway, And promoting Stadia, Google staff on stage, this is the GPU, has more power than the Xbox One and the PS4 Pro combined, yet still can't do 4K. I'm pretty sure the PS Pro can do 4K. Anyway, we designed Stadia to enable 4K 60 with appropriate TVs and bandwidth, and people have smashed the bandwidth needed for 4K and still can't get 4K. And when questioned about it, they said, it's the developers' faults. They're not releasing 4K, things. And, on one hand, I kind of believe, and it's possible if you don't set up your game in a way to where it can run in 4K, it's not going to run in 4K. It can be upscaled, of course, but it's not going to run in 4K. Not true 4K, because, you've got to actually build the game around that. But on the other hand, if Stadia can't handle that, why would anybody worry about it? Which is weird, because there are games that do run at 4K, but on Stadia, they're not actual 4K, they're upscales. Anyway, we want all games to play 4K 60, but sometimes for artistic reasons, a game is 4K 30. So Stadia always streams at 4K 60 via 2x encoder. Okay, whatever. Artistic reasons, that's the whole 30 frames versus 60 frame cinematic versus non-cinematic debate, which I'm not going to get into, because honestly, if it looks good and it plays great, I don't care what it looks like in the terms of 60 to 30 frames, as long as it works. And I got it. Sometimes games do look better with 30. Some do look better with 60. Don't at me. Anyway, but yeah, it really does look like that Stadia just can't handle 4K. No matter how much they want to tout it around right now, it is incapable of reaching 4K. It couldn't make it happen. I don't think any developer can make it happen at this point. So it's got to be something that's wrong with Stadia at this point. Anyway, let me know what you think about all this down in the comments below. This is something, and I am done with this video, so I will see you in the next one.
Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, smash that like button, and always subscribe for more. And of course, there are other videos floating around somewhere on the screen, so click one of those and see if you can find something that suits your fancy. Till then, I'll see you later. Bye.